Hey guys, Andrew Strout. I'm here in the sideboard. I'm sitting with Craig Wescoe. How's it going, Craig?
It's going well.
Craig, you are a noted attacker.
Yes.
Frequently with little white creatures, just like that. Never breaks character, Craig Wescoe. So we're here to talk to you today about Mardu.
Sure.
So tell me a little about the Mardu archetype in draft, and particularly I would like to hear about raid. Tell me about how good is raid, how important is raid when you're drafting Mardu?
Well, man, Oakland's been having a really rough football season. Oh, raid, the mechanic.
Not those Raider, different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the raid.
Yeah, so it's really important to the mechanic because one of the things that you're able to do very efficiently is make a lot of attackers.
Right.
So you have the guy, the 2/3 for 3 that makes a 1/1 warrior. You have the goblin thing, the outburst that makes 3 goblins. You have a lot of sort of grizzly bear type cards that you can easily throw away in the mid game just by attacking to trigger raid. So there's a lot of ways to just kind of go wide and produce a lot of small attacking creatures, which is obviously my forte.
Sure.
So yeah, like once you're able to trigger raid, there's a lot of things you can do with that. If you open up a really good rare, you can cast like the rock, so you can get a pair of really big flyers. That's really good. And with commons, you can trigger the lava axe card.
Aerostorm.
Yep, that one's really good.
Okay, so it's kind of a balance you have to walk where you want to get the right amount of kind of throwaway attackers and then payoffs.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. What are the best 3 commons when you're drafting Mardu?
I think the most important one is the ponyback.
Okay. Ponyback Brigade. The 3-color morph creature.
Right, because then you can unmorph it on the right turn, on turn 5, and make a whole bunch of 1/1s. So now you have like an army of attackers, and you can play the +2/+1 to all your creatures and your warriors gain lifelink, or Trumpet Blast.
All right.
And so those kind of cards just make all those tokens really good. So you're not only triggering raid, but you're making those tokens trade up into like 3/3s and stuff like that.
Okay. So I imagine then Trumpet Blast, and I'm also forgetting the name of the card. The +2/+1 for 3 and a white.
I don't know the names of Magic cards. I'm too old for this.
The Inspired Charge knockoff. So I imagine those 2 cards are also very important.
Yeah, I think some other very important cards to this archetype, though, are things like Aerostorm, just because you need a way to close the game or to deal with big creatures.
Okay.
So another important card would be something like Throttle.
Gotcha.
So whenever you cast all your little creatures, then the opponent starts playing bigger creatures to kind of keep your guys from being able to attack. If you could just use one big 5-mana spell that kills their big blocker and lets you get in that one last attack before you have to start chump attacking, then that's like a lot of times the difference maker in the game.
So you need like the huge tempo plays there.
Yeah.
All right. I've kind of got a sense of this already from the first 2 questions, but what does the ideal Mardu deck look like?
All right, so ideally, you just get like 7 copies of Bloodsoaked Champion, and you get like,
all right,
yeah. So basically, I like the black-white base for the warriors. So you get the 2 warrior lords,
right? Chief of the Edge and the Scale.
Yes, and those 2 cards really, the amount of those you get really scales.
I got it. Well played.
So that's one way to draft it, is you just kind of go black-white, splash red for like a charm and a ponyback and an arc lightning, something like that.
Okay.
Or you can go black-red, and that's typically the type of deck where you have a lot of kind of throwaway creatures that aren't really that good, but you have an abundance of removal.
Okay.
So once you start casting your early guys, you go like little 2-mana grizzly bear, whatever, throwaway, whatever it is, and then 3rd turn you play a morph guy, and then they start playing creatures. For the rest of the game, you just kill all their creatures.
All right.
And then another way to do it is white-red, where you have all the good white creatures that you kind of steal from Abzan that you can pump up with the Outlast mechanic.
Yeah.
So you're kind of borrowing a mechanic from Abzan with all the white creatures, and then you usually end up with a lot of red burn, and that's kind of what moves you into that archetype.
The pattern I noticed there, though, however you do it, you end up with a very clear 2-color deck with a splash of the 3rd color.
Ideally, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out that way, but that's what you're aiming for.
Okay. Last question. How strong do you think Mardu is? How do you think it ranks with the other clans in terms of draft archetypes?
I think it's the best aggressive clan.
Okay.
So it's one that I typically look for right away. But I think almost any of them I haven't had success with, but I've seen other people have success with.
Okay.
So like Sultai, you can get a bunch of like really sweet delve cards and things like that.
Right.
Timur, you can just kind of like create a bunch of monsters and do really cool stuff with, you know, that mechanic's called.
Sure. Ferocity, yeah.
Yeah, my creatures are never that big, so I don't even know what that's called.
Yeah, you have just a lot of 1/1s rather than 1 4/4.
Yeah, so like the only times my creatures get that big are when I trumpet blast.
Fair enough. All right. So you feel like anything can win though, but you're just more Marduing because that's your style then.
I mean, like if it's open, like I'll draft anything.
Sure. Okay.
But I mean, 5 color is another thing. Like obviously, if you're trying to go 5 color and you have a base of Mardu, that's probably the worst 5 color deck. Because Mardu's trying to have all these like aggressive early plays. 5 color just wants to play tap lands every turn.
Right,
so they're kind of at odds with each other. So if you want to stay open to 5 color, Mardu's the last one you want to pick.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
If you want to just be a straight 2 color, maybe splash a third, Mardu's the best for an aggressive deck.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, Craig.
Yep. You're welcome.
Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of Grand Prix Orlando.